Okay, thank you so much. Okay, right now I can see your screen clearly, and then we can start with.
Perfect. Perfect. That's great. Well, thank you all so much for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be with you, and I'm so excited to talk to you about stuff that I hope you find interesting or useful. It was a fascinating thing to receive many questions beforehand. Not many institutions do that. So thank you for sending those along. That gave me some perspective on kind of what to focus on for my talk today. Um, Let's see. And I wanted to say that we will have a question and answer time at the end. Normally, I would do a chat function, but I currently don't actually have control as this is, and I also am not quite accustomed to using Google Meet. So I'm trying to also sort out a way to kind of make that a little clearer. But that is okay. So if you have a question, I don't know that anybody can get into the chat from based on what I can see, I think. Oops, now I've lost everything. This is quite funny. Oh, there we go. Okay. So with that in mind, if you have a question, I guess I'm so sorry. It looks like the chat is not available to you, but if you have a question, I'm going to say I don't tend to take hands, although our session today is not huge. Sometimes I get upwards of hundreds of people, which is just too many to take hands with. But if you have questions, please note it down. I might stop kind of partway through each section or at the end of every section if you have any questions about this. Or if that opportunity doesn't come up, feel free to note it down and then ask it at the end because I do very much have a committed time. So with all of that in mind, this is the title that your institution wanted to call your session today. So tips for improving manuscript quality and publication success with a Cambridge Transformative Agreement. And that is true. Like that is 100% what I'm going to cover. I often call this presentation your path to publication, which is kind of a more succinct way of saying, look, here are the early stage ways to make this work best for you. I'm functioning under the assumption that everybody or the majority of people on this call are at some point in their research career and are looking to get published in a journal. I will not be talking today about publishing in books. Here at Cambridge, that is a separate entity. We can support you with that, but I'm not going to have a lot of info for you about that today. But today is very much focused on journals. So with all of that in mind, today I'm going to talk about, start with the concept of the publishing landscape. Then I'm going to talk about the steps to publication. Now, why do I call it that? I'm actually going to talk about three separate things, which I could always expound on more. And in fact, I often do. We tend to have a series, and I'm going to share with you the link to kind of go discover that series and sign up for yourself. In future, when we have one set up and ready to go, we often do them focused in Asia, sometimes in China, sometimes in India, sometimes in EMEA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there will be one, a series focused for your region, likely this fall. So with all of that in mind, I'm going to talk to you today about choosing the right journal, as I felt like a lot of questions came in about that, along with how to deal with peer review and what to do, a few things about what to do when it comes to rejection, which, by the way, is very normal. I wonder, oh, it worked, good. So I wanted to ask you, obviously we don't have the chat function right now, and I'm sorry about that, but think to yourself, what is the value that publishing in a journal could bring to your career? Where are you at? Why are you here? This is kind of my question. Like, what difference does this make to you? Does it make a big difference? Does it make a little bit of a difference? I don't know. Why does it matter? So ultimately, the question kind of, I attempted to answer it here. And journal publication will very likely help you to do any number of things and really to advance yourself, as well as to be viewed in a stronger way in your research community. So it establishes your credibility, it improves your impact, you can build your reputation, you can talk to many people. Yeah, so there's a lot of possibility. I mean, I know a lot of people who cannot advance in their career until they have published in a journal. Yeah, so with all of that in mind, I wanted to talk a bit about who we are as Cambridge. So at Cambridge, I'm sure you've heard of us. It's very, very normal. In fact, I was talking to a new colleague the other day, and she was saying, look, Cambridge's reputation is incredible. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's great. And we want to hang on to that. So when you're looking to publish with us, basically, when we say, yes, we will publish your piece, we are putting our stamp of approval on that, which means that we are still standing on your work as an advancement of our commitment to our quality, of our commitment to integrity and ethics, and of our commitment to advance ideas in the scholarly community. If you are sending us something that's a bit weak or something that is not a new idea, we're probably not going to be interested, because Cambridge is really interested in advancing important ideas that are going to expand the thinking in your research area. So we currently publish more than 450 peer-reviewed journals. Some of those I'm going to mention in a minute are published with societies or on behalf of partnerships that we have, and some we manage ourselves. But with all of those in mind, we do publish every subject area. Perhaps some of our subject areas are stronger than others. We are not the largest publisher, but I would argue that I believe we are the oldest publisher. We began with Henry VIII by a commission from Henry VIII to say, yes, Cambridge University, please go publish. We are an arm of Cambridge University. I am surrounded by colleges as I speak, and we are a part of it. So we are very committed to advancing valuable ideas. So these are some of the people we've published. These are some of the partners and organizations that we work with. And hopefully you too could join this list of Stephen Hawking, Isaac Newton, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which hopefully is a valuable thing. So like I said, over 60% of our journals are on behalf of academic societies and institutions. About 40% of these are journals we manage ourselves. But ultimately, over 50%, more than half of what we are currently publishing, which we are very proud of, our content is open access. Now, I am functioning under the assumption that you likely know what open access is, but just in case you don't, and just to make sure that we are all on the same page, I want to clarify what open access is and essentially why that matters to you as an author. So we've got open access as a concept, which means that anybody can read this work. It's really, really possible for anywhere in the world for someone to log in, find it, read it, done. That means that they don't have to get behind a paywall. That means they don't have to log into their library to see it. And ultimately, that probably also means that your work as an author, if you choose to publish open access, is going to be more visible. It's also going to be way easier to share. Look, like if you're trying to share an article from a subscription newspaper versus an article on, I don't know, BuzzFeed or something on Instagram, that's all free. That's not subscription based. So it's way easier to share content, which is one of many, many reasons why we feel open access is really important in the scholarly world, in scholarly communication. So as an author, you choose how you want your work shared and made available to the world. Now, we also have, as do many other publishers on the planet, have many journals that are subscription only, which means they're not open access, that people do have to kind of get through a paywall in order to read that content. That is completely up to you. If you find a journal that is not open access and you think it's the right one for you and you're okay with having your work behind a wall, that's fine. There is no problem with that. But with all of that in mind, what I think your library is keen on me talking about today is the fact that normally, again, with kind of the advent of open access, these days, in order to get published, you have to pay what's called an article processing charge. Now, that charge does not come through until you've been accepted for publication. If there is some publisher out there asking you to send them money before they even accept your work, or before you know it's been peer reviewed, that's a scam. That's taking advantage of you. It's not cool, and we would never stand behind that. So please be wary of that. But the goal is, of course, hopefully for you not to have to pay at all. So how does this work? So it works through this concept of what's called a transformative agreement. And this is because Mahidol University, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, your university has an agreement with Cambridge University Press. And that agreement says, okay, we will pay for access. This is the library paying for access to all of our content, both the open and closed stuff. But in return, we at Cambridge say, amazing. Now, because you've paid us money, we will take that money and we will apply it toward any author who gets accepted into one of our open access journals, which I hope you find a useful thing. So ultimately, this would make this publication process at no cost to you. I was recently in Spain speaking with some PhDs there. One was an early career researcher, and she said to me that she had just paid over $3,000 to get an article published in a different publisher's journal. Again, if you have cash and that's how you want to spend it, you go right ahead. I am not stopping you, but I would also certainly recommend taking advantage of this opportunity as you can. So how does this work? This is the way in which that I would recommend that you kind of search out what Mahidol has for you, and it's not difficult. So your agreement, just to repeat, enables free publication for you as an author if you publish in a particular open access journal, and I'll share that list with you in a minute and how to find it. And that APC, that article processing charge, is covered by the library if you are accepted into this journal. How does this work? Okay, so you are more than welcome to use that QR code, and that's going to bring you directly to your agreement. You can also type this in. Let me see if I can navigate there myself. Aha, I am there already. This is very, very easy. If you use Google regularly, which as I do, this is what I would do. I would literally type in Cambridge. You could even do UniPress. Eligibility checker. I'm gonna go down there and I'm gonna search it. And there it is. It's right on top. And I love that the AI is attempting to give me a useless, like, thank you. I'm sorry, I just wasted water. So it would bring you to this page, which I already have open over here. So I'm going to close that. It would bring you to this page. And here you are. And you're in Thailand. So I'm going to look that up. THA.
Sorry, Kristen.
Yes, hi.
Now your screen is still on the slide.
I'm so
Your
sorry. Could
screen
you
is
say that
still
one
on
more
the-
time?
Your screen is still linked on the PowerPoint slide.
Oh no. Oh, sorry. I think this is a Google Meet thing. Present something else. Window. Share. Thank you for that. Can you see anything?
Yeah. It's already the website.
Great. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
I am just not accustomed to Google Meet. I've never used it before. Right. So let me do that one more time. Very, very simply. I'm going to go here. I'm going to Google Cambridge eligibility checker, and there it is. And it's the one that's right on top, and it'll bring you straight to this page. Very simple. Yep, exactly like that. So here we are on that page, and I'm going to type in your country, which is Thailand, which I've already done. So Thailand, I'm going to click on that. And then it should automatically load all of the correct institutions. So we've got all of these here, which have a transformative agreement with us. And look, there you are. And I'm going to click that. And then I'm going to click view your publishing agreement. And look at it loading. Oh, it's a glorious list. It's so good. So you can look at more about your agreement at any of these links. excuse me, you can also view your publishing agreement. That's what that is. Journals covered by this agreement if you want to click on that. But if you are interested in using your institution's agreement, this is where I would start my search for a journal that would work. So you can go click in here, you can search and filter, you can search by subject. That's the very basic way. The other thing you can do is you can leave that up, and I'm going to show you in a little bit about how to look up a journal on Cambridge Core. Cambridge Core is where all of our content lives. Okay, so I'm going to navigate away and let's verify. Hang on, it looks like that popped out again. All right. I'm going to try this. I'm so sorry. I'm just used to using a window. Let me try this. Presentation window. Okay, I think I figured it out. Can I have that load? Can you see my screen? Yay, brilliant.
Yeah, I can see the screen, but in the PowerPoint slide,
Yes,
right?
exactly. That's where we should be.
Okay.
Thank you
Good.
so much. Brilliant. Okay, so there is that. All right, and that is where you can look it up or you can Google it. That is what I recommend. Does anyone have any questions about transformative agreements at all while we are here?
มีท่านไหนมีสอบถามข้อมูลเพิ่มเติมเกี่ยวกับพาร์ทก่อนหน้านี้ไหมคะเพราะว่าเดี๋ยวลำดับต่อไปจะเป็นสเต็ปการส่งเข้าตีพิมพ์แล้วค่ะ Christine, I think no question right now. You can
No
go
problem.
on the next step.
Yes, it's not especially difficult, is it? Okay, so from here, I'm going to move into the next section, which is about our steps to publication. And this is probably the meat of what you're looking for today. So first of all, I can advance this. This is like one of my favorite slides because whoever invented this here at the press, I think did a really good job of showing kind of the flow, how things work. And I've found, and I think it's so funny, editors, publishers, people in publishing forget that the rest of the world does not know how publishing works. So hopefully this is useful for you. So first of all, the first part, and we're going to talk about it together, is preparing your manuscript and choosing the right journal and then submitting your manuscript. And then from there, that is out of your hands and that lands with us. And that's where your manuscript comes to us. Hopefully it's in the best shape of its life at that point. And from there, Cambridge will decide whether or not we want to continue reading it, if we want to share it with peer reviewers. They might go back and forth with you to make some adjustments or changes. And then hopefully they would say, yes, we want to publish. That's the publication decision. And it would come down, that is the moment where you would pay money in order to get it published. And then the third part is it goes into production, it gets published, which is very exciting. So what we're talking about right now is part one. So in part one, and in general, I want to talk about three things that are really, really helpful for you as you are attempting to get published. I feel like a lot of the questions that came through, they were all pretty similar, but a lot of them were asking, oh, what are things I can avoid to get rejected? What are things I can do? What are some tips? And this is this. Okay, so first things first is choosing the right journal. I talk at length about this in one of my presentations that I call Choosing the Right Journal. I can talk for hours about this because really often the thing that gets in people's way is that people are just selecting the wrong journal because they are basically not fitting in the scope of what the journal is looking for. So a journal is really looking for something that is unique, okay? They're looking for something that has scholarly value, like what new thing are you bringing to the table? If you are bringing something forward that is not clear or is not direct, your point is not like upfront, they're gonna just say, yeah, no thanks. And then ultimately, does it align with what the journal publishes? All of these things are really, really important. So those are 100% things to consider. I'm going to navigate to Cambridge 4, which I think you should be able to see, but I want to make sure. Yes, I think you can because I think I've clicked the right thing now. Okay, so Cambridge Core is where all of our content lives. Way to do this, you can literally Google Cambridge Core. It's not difficult. You can even probably Google Cambridge and get here eventually. You should have access through your institution because obviously if they have a TA, transformative agreement, you have access. You can go up here and you can log in via your institution. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm going to focus on open access journals anyway. So if I know that I am in, I don't know, how about, oh my goodness, animal welfare. I know that I am in animal welfare, and that is actually the focus point I'm going to do. I can search things out by this. Welfare. Look at that. The other thing I do, and there's the journal title, because I figured I can also look up animal and see what it comes up with. Browse subject. No, and ooh, there is an actual animal journal, which is fascinating. It's brought me there right away. So I could also go here to browse. I could also click any of these subjects areas, and I'm actually going to click open access right now because I know that's what we're looking for. I'm going to go to open access journals. There we are again, and I can search. Look, I'm going to search animal. That only show open access because I want animal health reviews, etc. That is probably where I get. The thing is, when it comes to selecting the right journal, you need to be very particular and you need to do your own research. If you ask me what the right journal is for you, I will say, I don't know. Because if we publish over 450 journals, I hope you're not expecting me to know about every single one of those journals, because that's a lot. So I'm going to click in welfare journal. This is pretty normal what a Cambridge journal page looks like. And this is going to give you a lot of information. This impact factor is not necessarily high. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm going to talk about impact factor in a little while. So we've got other things they've published, etc. But what I really recommend is that you go up under the journal information page and see if this is the right one for you by looking at what this journal's about. What do they normally publish? You can find out about the editorial. You can look at their metrics, how it's performing, or is it at all? Look, you're getting impact factor based on bunches of different years. Affiliations, why I choose this journal, fascinating. You can also find out where else it's indexed, which is hopefully a useful thing. I'm going to click that. Look, it's indexed in all of these places, which means it's legit. Okay, these are great ways to look at. Ultimately, what I would look at is that the author instructions, are they looking for? Okay, I'm going to dig into that in a little while in a bit, but they tend to be specific. This one doesn't actually look especially specific. It might be a little bit broader, which is maybe convenient for you. We'll also look at journal policies, see what that has supporting you in terms of what else there. I'm going to go back to my presentation because I want to focus on the fact that choosing your, oops, if it comes back. There we go. I just want to bring back my page here. Okay, so with all of that in mind, it's going to advance. I hope it's going to advance. Sorry. There we go. Ultimately, the question that you need to ask yourself is, do your work and your goals align with what the journal publishes? This is where I'm going to talk about Q1 journals. My friends, I would say half of the questions that came through were people asking, how do I get published in a Q1 journal? Okay. First of all, Q1 is great. Q1 is not everything. Okay? Because if you are choosing a journal that aligns with your work and what you publish, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a Q1 journal. We are all in a very specific subject area. We can all wax loquacious about this every day, but just because it's Q1 doesn't necessarily mean that it's the one for you. Is that helpful? Of course it is. Q1 is amazing. But also, in order to publish Q1, you have to have incredible research, brand new, groundbreaking stuff that is going to change the world, essentially. I literally asked this question of one of our most senior publishers yesterday, and those were her words. So, Q1 is amazing, but it's not everything, because ultimately you need to make sure that the scope of what the journal publishes fits with what you want to say. So, consult your network, review journals you read, and use journal selection tools to figure out a journal that you think would be a good fit for what you do. It is not all about, its ranking, although that's useful, but it's not everything. Sure, that might be a factor, but it should not be the only factor. Also, you need to be considering the specifics. Is it open access? Will this fit under your transformative agreement or not? That is a huge deal. Is the scope broad or specific? Is the audience wide or niche? Who are you trying to talk to? And ultimately, the effectiveness. Do its ratings matter? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Okay. So, yeah, and I think somebody's just popped in the chat that quartiles can fluctuate. And that's true. They change all the time. It's based on what's coming through. So you can't just rely on, Q1. Q1 is the only thing I'll publish in. Look, we're all overachievers. You guys have PhDs. You're working toward a really advanced degree. That's amazing. But we can't all be in the same journal. That doesn't make sense, right? We can't all be at the top, because then the Albert Einsteins of the world wouldn't exist. Right? So I'm not saying it's a bad thing to want to do your best, but I'm also saying think realistically, because something that gets published in a Q2 journal or a Q3 journal is better than sitting at home and doing nothing and getting nothing published. The end. That's, I'd say, probably a good take. All right. Now, writing toward acceptance. This is something that we see as an issue quite a lot. And this is why, and this has to do with rejection, this is why a lot of work gets rejected, because your writing is not good enough. It's illegible. Perhaps English is your second language, and your English writing is not clear, or it's very difficult to read, and instantly a publisher will say, yeah, no, thank you. An editor will not be into it, because they can't read it. And if that's the case, then that needs to be better. Now, these are some great questions I would recommend asking yourself. Does your paper uniquely fill a gap? Again, if you're copycatting research, if your stuff is written by AI, we're not interested, because that's already been done. Okay, look, we don't want a rewriting of, I don't know, a Hunger Games novel. If you're a novelist, like, nobody's going to publish the Hunger Games again. Like, be unique, be original. Okay. So does it follow the author guidelines? They can be very specific. Do you have verified data? Does it fulfill all aspects of academic integrity? Your work, when you submit it, this can't just be, oh, I hope so. It has to be so perfect. You have to believe that this thing is the best it can ever be when you submit it. Okay. Now, also be direct. And I just want to note that these are the ABCs. You've got accuracy, brevity, be direct. Don't use jargon. Don't use passive voice, which maybe you're less familiar with if English is not your first language, but still be as clear as you can. And third, this is the C of ABC, be clear. Focus on essential contribution to your field. Focus on context. Focus on, I think, the CCC. You don't have to, but this is a recommendation. You can use context, content, conclusion. You can also, we also really recommend that you use a structure for the sake of logical flow. What are you saying that supports to your central contribution? And ultimately, clarify how you fill the gap. Also, these are not bad things to do, to talk about the limitations of your interpretation and the relevance to your field. And then the other thing that we really recommend is that you get feedback. Ask a colleague, ask somebody you trust, like, hey, how is this coming across? It might be coming across different than you're expecting. Okay, I'm going to pause right there. Does anyone have any big, fat, major questions that have to do with either writing or with selecting a journal? I don't think I see anything coming in. Yeah, this is a great comment by Kulinit. Journal quartiles can fluctuate as well. I found one that recently changed from Q2 to 1. That's amazing. While my manuscript is being reviewed. So there you go. Like, it's already out of your hands and like, wow. But again, it's worth taking, I don't want to call it the chance, but choosing something in order to get published. And that's great. This went in the right direction for you. That's amazing. Congratulations. And I hope that works out for you. But yeah, there's a lot of validity with that. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So next, we've got navigating peer review. So this is after you've submitted, and I'm actually gonna give you just a bit, like a checklist if you like. Feel free to take a picture of this. So yeah, this is a submission checklist that I made. I'm not gonna go over this because I feel like I've kind of talked about this ad nauseum. But yeah, we're talking about clarity, we're talking about quality, we're talking about following the guidelines, etc. So now, in order to submit, I'm going to do this as well. Here we are. Now, I am already on the journal page, and every journal page looks like this. This is where you would submit your manuscript. Okay, so you're looking at your journal information. Then, in order to submit, you would go right here. Click. Oops. Normally I'd get a little circle thing, but it's not happening right now. I'm going to click submit manuscript. Yes. And you want to proceed to the submission system. Why does that matter? Because that brings you to the online peer review system. Very important. Okay. We recommend that you use your ORCID ID. You don't have to, but you can. You also very likely, according to your institution's standards, you need to be attached and using your institutional email. Not all institutions require that, but some do. So just be aware of that. Yeah, I'm not going to go any further with this. I will share some screenshots with you though. Come on then. Great. So that's where we were. Sorry, I'm just going to bring back our session. Great. So that's where we were. And this is where you would submit your article in the OPRS and log in with your ORCID ID, as I mentioned. Corresponding author determines eligibility. I could talk a little bit about that, but I'm not going to get deep into that. But yeah, and then once you kind of log in and do all that, you're going to complete your steps like you're somebody with a brain. I think you guys can figure this out. It's not especially difficult, but you need to be very, very clear. Okay. And then from there, that work is out of your hands. It's nothing you can do about it. You should not be submitting this to any other institution. You should not be seeking out other publishers. This is a kind of gentleman's agreement or an agreement between you both that you have decided. I choose this journal. This is the one journal. This is currently a monogamous relationship. Okay, my friends? One at a time. You can't spray and pray. You can't hope for the best. And this is not your CV submitting to multiple jobs. One journal at a time. Okay, that's how this works. So from there, you'd go into hopefully where peer review exists. You would submit, and that would get to the desk, and which hopefully will then get submitted to peer review. And then there's a lot of back and forth about this. I'm not going to keep going with that. I like these slides as well because I think it's pretty clear. So you've just submitted. It goes to the journal editor. And if the journal editor can't read it or thinks that your idea is not strong enough, they'll send it right back to you. And that's called a desk rejection for any of these reasons. If they're like, yeah, cool, we're happy to send this through to peer review and then get more people to read it, then they'll do it. And that'll go to reviewers. I don't know why it's not plural because there is definitely more than one. From there, the reviewers will come back with their assessment and you will see their comments and you can kind of go back and forth. You can say, this is why I chose this. This is why I didn't choose this. You can make revisions. Oftentimes the editor will ask you to anyway. It's also at this point that the editor can still reject and say, look, this isn't for us. And that's okay. And then it's back in your hands and you're welcome to do what you please with it. I'll talk a little bit more about it in a minute. And then, or hopefully after you've done a ton of back and forth with the editor, you can go into the state of acceptance, which is great. Mind you, this process is not short. Nothing in publishing goes quickly, ever. I can think of no exception. If somebody tells you that they're going to publish your stuff in a week, they're either lying or they're trying to take your money, because it doesn't happen. Or they're just not very legitimate. So these are all kind of the outcomes of peer review. I kind of briefly went over those. I'm going to skip through those. So reviewer rejection types are accept without changes. That never happens. I'm going to repeat, it never happens, ever. Accept without changes. Then from there, you can accept with minor or major revisions. Sometimes an editor will come back to you and say, hey, please shift this and resubmit. We're giving this back. This needs changes, but we're interested if you make major changes. Or they can straight up say, this is not for us. Perhaps you should consider a different journal. I don't know, maybe you submitted to the wrong journal. I have no idea. Everything is unique. I think a message that I like to say is that rejection is part of the process. Look, all the people, all those names, like we're talking Albert Einstein, whoever, they've all had their work rejected. Like it's very normal. So don't take it personally. This is not about you. This is all about using the best work possible. I think no one really cares, like, I don't know who it's from, so long as it's legitimate and it's backed up with data and it's excellent work, and it's a new idea that's valuable to the world, we'll be interested. Okay. This is not an invalidation of your work. This is about making your work the best it can be. So ultimately, you need to decide what to do if you've been rejected. Does the editor call for revision? Again, when I was talking with this super senior publisher yesterday, she was saying, look, they do this all the time. They say, look, we don't want this right now, but if you make this change, then please resubmit, or please resubmit with better language. Get this fixed. Yeah. Also, you could take the reviewer feedback and make those changes to be like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I didn't think of that. And then from there, I would also, again, talk to mentors and people that you trust in your field, again, to kind of decide what to do, because you've got some options. So remember that rejections are not dead ends, but valuable opportunities to refine your research. So hopefully, after all of that, you have successfully gotten through and you're at the finish line, and they'll say, great, we accept. And then from there, you need to decide what kind of license you're going to sign, your Creative Commons license, which is how your work can be used in the world. I'm not going to talk a lot about that. And this is where, finally, you'll be taken to a page called Rights Link. And this is where you basically ask or say to your institution, hey, I've been accepted. I'd like to take advantage of our transformative agreement. And that's where this comes into play. And basically from your side, you kind of make a little request, almost like use, and basically you say seek funding from institution. And that just gets sent through either automatically to your institution, and the librarians are like, great, cool. And it's like automatic acceptance, or the librarian will see it and decide, yes, we will use, no, we won't. I would say probably for the most part, they will if you've been accepted. And then from there, hopefully you don't have to pay a cent, a penny, nothing at all. And it will go into the publication process. And ultimately you'll get a link with your published article, which I hope you find as exciting as I do. So from there, I've kind of covered the 3 basic steps. And now I want to talk with you about how to potentially overcome maybe some of those more nitty-gritty challenges, especially maybe if your language isn't great, or if you're having a hard time finding visuals or crafting visuals to make your content more easily understandable. So first of all, on Cambridge Core, we've got almost too much content available to help authors. I would just recommend searching it. There's Author Hub, there's author resources, just in spades. You cannot miss it. There's a whole author section. I'm not going to navigate there now. But yes, I would recommend going and finding that for yourself. All of this stuff is available, and we're also more than happy to answer questions. I'm going to share a couple of email addresses with you at the end that you're welcome to inquire from. Then something else we have that is not part of your transformative agreement. So this is independent, but it's called our author services. And this is basically where we want to help you make your work better. This is a paid paid service. And this is a link to it if you want to navigate there yourself. The page looks literally, I think what I've done is I've taken a screenshot and I've embedded it in there. Here's another QR code, which also is not on the page. That's what it looks like. This is what we do. And what that involves is anything that you basically might need support on in terms of particularly paper formatting. Perhaps your English editing needs help. Maybe you think you need another pair of eyes to support with your content. Great. Thank you so much for sending that through. Yeah, we also do translation. I think, nope, I don't have that. We do at least 6 languages to my understanding. And I think we're expanding all the time. So yeah, if you want some stuff translated into English so you don't have to yourself, that's great. If you want help with formatting or visuals, we can support with that. And ultimately, if maybe you're also kind of having a hard time getting your work out there to the world, I'm happy to help you create, I don't know, social media posts that are effective and interesting. So yeah, with all of that in mind, we wanted to give you a discount code for you to use today. I believe this is only good for the next month. So please take advantage. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's good through the end of August, which is 5 weeks. So that's the 31st of August. Today is the 22nd of July. So this is your unique code, MUCUP 2026. So please feel free to take advantage. Okay, this is on you. We are glad to have you with us today, but we're excited to have you test this. I'm not going to take the time right now, but you can also get on the page and get a quote. It's very, very easy and it's free. Like you can put in, oh, I've got this number of words. How much would it cost me to get this copy edited, essentially? Yeah, so please feel free to check that out. So the other thing that we do, as I mentioned earlier, we do regularly these author workshops or author series. I believe this is a link to our training page, which is on Core. We don't currently have anything listed because those dates are still being worked out. But when those things are ready to go, you can sign up and you can attend. It's free. And I get way deeper into the details about reasons for rejection, selecting the right journal. I actually have another piece that is not listed here where I talk about predatory publishing because, you know, we've got a lot of shady people out there which are unfortunately trying to take advantage of you and your work, which we don't want for you. So that's our goal, to help you. We also have a YouTube page. Frankly, the subscriptions don't matter to me at all. The point is for you guys to have access to work basically that I have done in the past. So a lot of these are old workshops that I've done over the past year from fall of 2025. And those are basically updated every year. So yeah, feel free to go check that out. I hope it's a valuable resource for you. And that's what it's for. If you're also looking for help on Core, we've got some videos on there about that as well, which hopefully is helpful. So ultimately today, we've covered kind of what's going on in the publishing landscape, and then we've talked about the steps to publication, and then I've talked a bit about author support, which I hope has been a useful thing for you. I am more than happy to take questions and answers from you right now, and I think I've got this on the thank you page, but I wanted to share with you the 2 email addresses that you're more than welcome to send questions to. The OA queries inbox is probably going to have the most info for you. If you email the academic training inbox, we, depending on what your question is, it's possible we'll kind of guide you in the right direction, but we won't necessarily be able to handle your question, especially if it's very, very specific, perhaps to your subject area, or you're looking for a particular, I don't know, person. Please also feel free to fill out this feedback form as you so desire, but I am more than happy to take questions right now. Yeah, about anything. I think I've answered the majority of the questions that came through. Actually, let me navigate to that. Yeah, a lot of these are Q1 journals, best tips and tricks kind of thing. Yeah. Any questions at all?
มีท่านไหนมีข้อมูลสอบถามเพิ่มเติมไหมคะ Oh, I have some question about the discount for the did they show the code for the discount?
Let's see. There it is.
Yeah อันนี้จะเป็นโค้ดส่วนลดนะคะ10%นะคะเวลาที่เราใช้ตีพิมพ์นะคะ so how long for this code to expire
I believe it expires on the 31st of August.
okay just about 1 month from here okay
Yes,
อ่า
yes,
โค้
basically,
ด
yes.
นี้นะคะจริงๆสามารถแคปโค้ดนี้เก็บไว้ก็ได้ค่ะจริงๆโค้ดนี้สามารถใช้ได้ถึงสิ้นเดือน31สิงหาค่ะก็เผื่อท่านไหนอยากมีตีพิมพ์ระหว่างเนี้ยค่ะก็จะได้ส่วนลด10%นะคะ okay thank you for this discount
Yeah.
I think for now there are no question for now but I will let them if they have any question or any how long does it
This
take
is,
for submission they have some question in the chat box can you
yes, I see it. This is everybody's favorite question. I literally said this to a line manager the other day, like, what is a common question? I said, this one. Everyone wants to know how long it takes. And frankly, there is no straight answer to this. So how long does it take from submission to getting published? Every article journey is different. I would say in an ideal world, I could say, oh, 12 weeks, but it's not really like, I can't say that because everybody is different and unique. So if it happens in 2 weeks, that's not real. That's not Cambridge. That's not us. I've heard of articles taking up to a year to get published, but that's I wouldn't say that's especially common, but it happens. So I can't say what your timeline is going to be because I don't know, but if you want an easy answer, that's not really real. It's 12 weeks, but that's not really real. If it makes you feel better, though, I can say that. Yeah, cool in it. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, first of all, thank you for the presentation. I think, yeah, I mean, my question is quite the classic one around rejections.
Yeah.
So in the past, I tried to strategize a little bit by submitting to special issues to make sure that
Yeah.
there's some balance. But now that I wanted to expand, so like journals that don't have calls for paper, basically. So
Yeah.
what would be the common reasons then, if it's like not just being out of scope, that people get rejected right away, like in terms of like Dex rejection? Yeah, I had a couple of those, but it's kind of frustrating not knowing what were the reasons, although I try to make sure that I've selected the right kinds of journals or having the right
Yeah.
scope. Yeah, like what would be
Yeah.
your kind of comments on that? Yeah.
That's a good question. I mean, out of scope is normally the main one. Oftentimes, well, again, everybody is different. Let me actually, I've got another presentation. I want to see if I can get you a clean answer, and I can even like post it. Hang on just a second. Yeah, look, it doesn't sound to me like your language is going to be an issue, but it's possible. I don't know. Did you follow author guidelines? That's a huge thing. Like if you're, who knows? It sounds to me like the editor is just kind of, I don't know. Let's see. Reasons for rejection. How to avoid them. Yeah. Let me open this. Yes, I literally just delivered this in a few weeks ago. Hang on. Go on then. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like you're kind of on top of it. I'm going to actually do this. Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to slideshow. Okay, can you see my screen? Should be right there. Yeah, so this is what I saw. It's oftentimes it's out of scope. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I also don't know like your specific situation or who's talking to you. It's also just possible that, I don't know, maybe that day the editor was having a bad day, which hopefully is not the case. But yeah, this is kind of what I regularly say. But those are kind of the normal things. Let me see what else I have in this actually. Yeah, a lot of this is similar content. Yeah, those are the most common reasons. I'm sorry I don't really have an answer for you. I don't know your specific situation. But Yeah, it just sounds like you might just need to kind of go in a different direction, or maybe your take on what your paper is talking about would be a better item. I'm not saying a different subject area, but yeah, sorry, that's the best I got right now.
That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Any other questions at all?
Yeah, I think there are no question มีท่านไหนมีข้อมูลมีคำถามเพิ่มเติมไหมคะแต่ว่าถ้าเกิดว่าหลังจากเนี้ยค่ะถ้าเกิดว่ามีคำถามเพิ่มเติมหรือว่ามีปัญหาด้านการเข้าใช้งานหรือว่ายังไงเนี้ยค่ะอันนี้ไว้ไม่แน่ใจว่าสามารถส่งให้กับทางแอดมินของทางสถาบันได้ไหมถ้าเกิดว่าส่งกับทางสถาบันอะค่ะเดี๋ยวให้ทางสถาบันติดต่อกลับมาที่ออฟฟิศในการเราจะ cooperate ให้นะคะ So I think no question right now, and I let them to have if they have any question when they are using the platform or any have any problem they need to they can ask with the institution admin and then they will send the question to me and then I will pass to you again. Okay. I think they are all
Yeah.
done today, right? So วันนี้ก็เรียบร้อยแล้วนะคะยังไงก็ขอบคุณนะคะบุคลากรทุกท่านจากทางมหาวิทยาลัยมหิดลนะคะ so we are very thank you much for your help today and really useful for them today. So I think we can say goodbye to everyone.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, great. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it, and hope to see your work come through to Cambridge. Cheers.
Okay, bye bye. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.